Good morning, people. Good morning. Good morning. How are y'all doing? How are you guys doing? Hope everything is well. Hope everything is straight with your life. Hope everybody's in great spirits. In great spirits. So, today is Breakdown Saturday. Breakdown Saturday. We break down everything we talked about doing this week. Man, we talked about a lot of things. We talked about some baptism. We talked about um, black and white. We've been discussing that for a minute. And we definitely talked about the depth of why Jesus had to go to the cross. We talked about that stuff, right? Now we got some history we need to talk about. Uh, Remember, I told you um, you must look at the Bible literally, figuratively, prophetically, and historically. So now we finna look at some history, right? Just a little bit of history. We're gonna start off by reading the scripture to make sure that we stay on page, that we stay on base here. I hope everybody's doing good, man. Get y'all something to drink. I ain't gonna be long. Y'all know how I do it, cause I know y'all some busy people. But sometimes you gotta slow down. Get you something to drink. Now we're in Ephesians. We are in Ephesians chapter 2, verses 14 through 18. And it reads, "For he is our peace, who has made us both one, and has broken down the middle wall of partition between us, having abolished in his flesh in enmity, even the law of commandments contained in ordinance, for to make in himself of twine one new man, so making peace, and that he may reconcile both unto God in one body by the cross, having slain the enmity thereby, and came and preached peace to you which were afar off, and to them that were not. For through him we both have access by one Spirit into the Father." So, people, we have learned some things this week. If you followed me, if you are trying to get to know God and get to know God for yourself, you have learned that the enmity between each other and the enmity between us and God came down. That is the wall of petition. Wall of petition. Now, what is it about between us? Well, that wall was set up to keep us from one another and separate, and was to separate us from each other, right? But that ain't what God meant for it to do. He meant that, hey, I'm gonna, I want to choose these people so they can help those people. But we missed that. We missed that, right? Verse 14, not only does Jesus bring us peace, now he is our peace. Jesus Christ is the Prince of Peace in Isaiah 9 and 6. Now God brings men and women together. They find peace with God. They find peace with each other. They leave behind their differences. They leave behind their differences. He has destroyed the hate which was like a wall between Jews and Gentiles. So he has made them united. There is Now, no division between the Jews and the Gentiles. Why did the Jews and Gentiles have a difference? They had a difference because the Jews set up that, okay? And that's why we're going through what we're going through today with black and white, Jew and Gentile, and denomination against denomination. Jesus died so he took away that enmity. What is that? Enemies of each other. He took away that. But yet we bring it back. Yet we influence it. Yet we produce it. Yet we promote it by titles, by denominations, by color, by race, and we have messed up, people. We have messed up. But let me give you some history how it took place. In the temple, where the Jews worship God, there were different courts. That means there was different sections in this temple. There was different sections in this temple. Let me show you this temple real quick. One of them, anyway. The temple of Herod. There was different setups, and that's why we are tripping. This all started long before time, long before we were available to know the truth, right? I'm gonna sit this right here. We're gonna continue on reading. That is Herod's temple, right? Now, this temple was separated. You had a court of the Gentiles. You had a court of women. You had a court of Israelites. You had a court of priests. You had a most holy place. Between the court of the Gentiles and the rest of the temple, there was a wall. Okay? There was a wall. The Jews did not allow the Gentiles to pass this wall. There were warning signs on the wall. The message of the Gentiles was this: if you go past this sign, you will die. So how did they go well with the Gentiles, and how did they go well with the Jews? Check this out. A few years ago, someone found one of these signs. It reads, "Let nobody from any other nation come inside the fence and boundary round the most high place." It warned also that such a person would be responsible for his own death. This boundary, therefore, was like a fence to the Gentiles. It was like a fence. This wall of partition kept us from. It was like a fence. Jews thought that God was present. Jews thought that God was present in the most high place. That is one of the courts, the most high place. And Jews thought that God was in there, right? So the fence kept the Gentiles away from the place where God lived. They were trying to keep them away from God. I say it again. The Jews were trying to keep other nations away from God. Why? Why was they doing that? Because it's going to form something, and that is jealousy with the other nations towards the Jews. So the fence kept the Gentiles away from the place where God lived. The wall between in the temple separated Jews and Gentiles. This made them enemies. God destroyed this wall. See that? See that? On the outside, they couldn't go in there. They could not go in there. Gentiles, no other nation can go in there. They sign their own death certificate if they do. And the Romans was backing that up. This is serious, people. This is serious. This is why we are here today with hatred, strife, envy, jealousy, because somebody wanted to be up here. Somebody trying to keep us away from God. They want to know everything. They don't want us to know nothing. And that's just how it is today. That's just how it is today. We know from the history that the Romans broke down the wall in the temple, but that was in 87. It was when their army entered Jerusalem. The soldiers destroyed the temple. However, the wall was still there in the temple when Paul wrote his letters. No one had destroyed